Rest in Republic. Rest in Republic. This is Rest in Republic. Rest in Republic. This is Rest in Republic.
Good evening from Wales, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today we do have some quite big topics, including talking about whether or not Prime John Cena is better than Prime Chris Jericho, as well as previewing what is going to be an absolute stacked not just day, but weekend in professional wrestling. It's going to be a fun one. But before we get into all of those topics, let's get into the panel and let's kick things off with the man who was originally scheduled for today's show, the Tuesday Night Delight. 3 days later, Shad, my question for you today is, if you had a time machine, would you rather go back to watch the first WrestleMania in person live, or would you like to be at the final WCW Nitro?
Oh, man, I think I would rather see the final WCW Nitro. It's closer to what I watched in my age range, so I'm going to go with that.
Fair enough. A good shout indeed. And you can see Shane McMahon buying the company. What a moment that was. Also joining us today as a fill-in for Geordie because he's currently unwell. Get well soon, Geordie. We have Clark. And my question for you, Clark, is we're only 5 days away from Christmas. What current WWE superstar would you like to invite to your Christmas dinner?
Oh, to hang out?
Yeah.
That is a tough one, my friend, but I'm going to go with right this very second to hang out with. I think me and Randy Orton could crank some beers and have some fun. That'd be a fun one. Yeah, I'm going to go with
Randy Orton.
He's from the Midwest. He likes barbecuing just like I do. Like that's kind of what I like to do around the holidays. I thought about a lot of names, but probably RKO.
I'll invite him round so he can cook some food. I like your thinking, Clark. They're smart.
I figured, we can crank the beers, get the smoker rolling, put the football on. It's all. That's an easy hang.
I'm picking Baron Corbin.
Corbin would see, but not there anymore. Corbin will be up.
That's true. Right. That's true.
No, I would have gone Corbin if he was still there.
But Corbin
I almost
is
went Liv
well.
Morgan just to cause controversy, but I audibled the Orton at the last second, to be honest.
We've got Melissa in the comments saying hello, all saying, why did I say Wales instead of Swansea? Gonna be honest, not much thought went into that. I just accidentally said Wales. Josh Markowitz says 3 hosts on one show. Wow, a super panel.
I was gonna ask the same thing as Melissa. That is so funny. I was like, wait, why did you go with the whole country?
Well, to be fair, everybody does think Swansea's in England. That is like a thing which I've been having with some of the followers. Well, but there was actually no thought that went into it.
Well, we're a Scottish-based company, as people have said in the past.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, that is true. A very reputable, also they claim, news site has claimed we are a Scottish-based company.
Yes.
I mean, I live in Wales and the company's based in England. There's nothing Scottish about it. But now let's move on to talk about Chris Jericho and John Cena, because Shad today in the Wrestling Republic group chat stirred up some controversy, and I'm not entirely sure where this argument actually came from, but I just go in there and there's like 100 messages, everybody's raging. Who was better, Prime Chris Jericho or Prime John Cena? Shad, as you were the one who started this big debate today, I want to kick things off with your thoughts.
The reason it was brought up also is because we were talking about John Cena's retirement tour year. We're talking about his age, and some people were like, "Well, he's doing it at an old age," and you see washed people doing it like Jericho. And I was like, Jericho, he might not be doing the best stuff, but Jericho is doing good for himself. And honestly, I think I like Chris Jericho more than John Cena if we're talking about totality. And I'll kick it off with my answer. I am 1,000% taking Prime Y2J over John Cena. If I got to do the compare and contrast of everything that's textbook about a professional wrestler, Y2J, Jericho, as a former Jericho-holic as a child, the Ayatollah of rock and roller is damn near perfect of a prospect. He can cut a promo. He had a distinct look. He had personality. He had charisma. By the way, he was also amazing bell for bell when you talk about being a pro wrestler. There wasn't anything that he couldn't do when we're talking about what a professional wrestler is. And John Cena, on the same breath, yes, he is in that same mold, but I don't think Cena was a better talker than Jericho. I don't think Cena was a better in-ring wrestler than Jericho. I don't think Cena had like the pure fire charisma that Jericho had, the ability to, the duality, being able to do different stuff, being able to wrestle in multiple different areas and whatnot. And also being consistent. Consistency is one of the things that matters the most in pro wrestling. We're talking about a gentleman who is still doing this well into his 50s, bro. Like, he's really into his 50s, still recreating, doing different stuff, and ushering in moments, bringing in AEW, doing stuff in New Japan, WCW as a young lion cruiserweight, what he did as one of the best debuts in the WWF. Cena, off of popularity, yeah, he's got it. But if I'm talking about just pure everything as a professional wrestler, I think Jericho washes John Cena.
Wow, that is a big claim. I think another thing which is probably important to clarify is, Shad, when would you actually say Jericho's prime was? Like, what year would you put that on?
I would probably, it's definitely within the age range or the range between 2000 to like 2005, 2006,
Wow.
I would say, right? But then he also had another prime. Like, thing is this, his prime was for a little while. Right, but I would definitely say he hit his prime initially when he came into the WWE as Y2J, and then around like 02, 03, you would say, Clark, when he
yes. When it comes to that
disagree.
conversation, WrestleMania 18 and 19, the run between then, so he beats Austin and Rock in the same night, and I don't want to get into what I was actually kind of planning on saying myself there, but he beats Austin and Rock on the same night. Follows that up by main eventing a WrestleMania that features The Rock and Hogan on the card against the current head of the WWE, Triple H. And then he follows that up one calendar year later at Mania 19 and puts on an all-time classic with Shawn Michaels that we talk about to this day. To me, that's his prime, that stretch, 18 and 19.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say, right? This is where I kind of disagree. And admittedly, it's only me going back and watching this stuff, but I have, in the case of Jericho, I have actually gone back and watched pretty much the vast majority of his career. But in my personal opinion, I actually don't think that time when he was, one of the top guys in the company, that was his prime. I think his prime was when he returned in 2008 and that feud with Shawn Michaels. That one for me was actually when he peaked. When he came back, that was the most interesting I ever thought he would be. And it wasn't long-lived, but that prime, I would actually say I'm more interested in than anything John Cena's ever done. But I think that was a very short-term thing, whereas I think John Cena did it for a longer term. But Clark, what's your thoughts?
In fairness, I hear where you're coming from on that run, but to me, his ability to reinvent himself, that was his big comeback that put the stamp on how good he actually is. And Jericho did a really good job of going away and coming back. And that's why these are two really difficult guys to compare for me, because Cena stayed in it all the way. And absence really does make the heart grow fonder at times. So there was something to that with Jericho. He would strike for a certain amount of time, and then, he'd take the toy away, right? He'd put the lid on the cookie jar and he'd, go play music or do his other ventures and whatnot. That's why I believe, because here's my other thing, Ben. The reason I think some of his best work was absolutely in that return rivalry, short-haired Jericho with Shawn Michaels, that ladder match. Come on, man. I'm in agreement, right? Like, it's off the charts. But if you look at his athletic prime, this guy was doing missile drop kicks still in the main event of WrestleMania during the 18 to 19 run. His athletic prime was then. He was still at the peak of the industry, and nobody else can say they beat Rock and Austin. That's why I think that's his prime. The little gap, almost, not to reference MMA, but it's a little like John Jones. It's like, ooh, we did miss Jericho for a couple years before the return and whatnot. but that also made the return more special. You know what I mean? And so there's something to that as well. My answer is I would lean Jericho, but I appreciate both. If we're talking strictly prime, I almost have equally as a hard a time, and I don't want to open a can of worms here, but picking what we would consider Cena's prime. Because my favorite, opinion-wise, version and time of Cena is likely not considered his prime. I'm talking WrestleMania Hollywood. He beats JBL, the I Quit match, bleeding. That era of Cena is my prime Cena. That's what I think. The Umaga match at the Rumble, last man standing. There are quite a few people that would disagree with that. And I don't blame you because of the longevity. But if we're just looking at prime, and when we say prime, I don't even know how many years we actually quantify that as. I think of it as like the 2 best years in your athletic and performing prime. And so if we're comparing that 18 and 19 run of Jericho's to the run that I think is Cena's best, I give Jericho the nod ever so slightly. If we're talking total career, different conversation, my friends, different conversation, right? But that's where I'm at on it. And I'm more torn than I maybe even came across there, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a difficult one as well, because when it comes to drawing power, I mean, there's zero doubt, factually speaking, Cena was the
Definitely
bigger draw.
Cena.
But I mean, it's very bizarre though here, right? We did a post to the Instagram about this after, the debate kicked off in the group chat. And people, it's like 90% John Cena. And the Instagram comments right now, again, are 90% John Cena. We got I Make Beats saying Jericho, but, it seems to be people are siding with Cena.
I want to say something real quick.
That.
I want to say something real quick, and it's kind of off the debate slightly. I want people to realize and respect Chris Jericho more than they do. I know that you might see him do stuff that isn't, creatively pleasing on AEW at the moment, but he doesn't need to do this, right?
That's true.
But he's still doing it better than a lot of other people were doing it. And don't let this taint your vision of what the man has done throughout his entire career. The guy is gonna go down as one of the most underrated professional wrestlers of all time. He's got a career that you could argue that should be in a Mount Rushmore if you're talking about what he did in WCW, what he did in WWF, WWE, what he did in Japan, what he's done in AEW as well, like helping create it. Like I just don't want people to not give him his credit for that just because they don't like what is happening right now.
Right this second.
Yeah, because at that point, let's see what Cena does in this year. I'm going to be very interested to see what John Cena does at 46, 47 years old in this last year, right? Because I know what is going to happen. If he doesn't have great matches, people are going to cut him a lot of slack because they're like, you just got to appreciate the time of him being here, man. This is his last run. And they're not going to keep that same energy. So just respect him, man. The dude is 50 plus. He don't need to do it. And he can still go out there and wrestle a match. He had a match with Ospreay, a year ago that was really good.
Really good.
Not that long ago.
Exactly.
So
yeah, you're not wrong. I think that is actually a great point. I mean, it's obviously because with Chris Jericho, there isn't an end date. If he gave an end date, said I'm retiring here, I think the narrative would very quickly switch on him. And then people would celebrate him a bit more. Now, I don't think to Cena levels because I think, because of the last few years, people have turned on Jericho a bit, which a lot of it I think is unfair. Some of it justified, perhaps.
Not to cut you off, Ben, but this is where I find it fascinating. Jericho during what you would consider the long-term prime of somebody that athletic career went away and came back in a way that Cena did not. And
That's
Cena
true.
does that now. And I find it fascinating. I think that's part of the reason the narrative's flipped even on this discussion in some ways with certain people, because you look at Cena as a commodity because he's been in Hollywood the last few years and you only get him so often. Jericho used to strike that. I mean, he was brilliant. He would just go away when he felt it was stale.
And I do think, to be fair, as you get older and you're not putting on as great in-ring matches, sometimes I think you do need to step away a little bit more regularly, just so people kind of they miss you from a nostalgic perspective. They're looking forward to see you, and they kind of remember the old you more than the new you. And when they see you, it's it's just great. They're just happy to see you. But I think Jericho's issue is that he's been full time now these past few years, and a lot of stuff has been misses. There's been a few hits as well, but I think that's kind of what's affected him. But I do think, right, in 5-10 years from now, or even just a couple of years after his retirement, people are going to look back on him and say he is in the GOAT argument. I do think that.
I don't see why not. Personal opinions aside, whatever you think of him, his accomplishments speak for themselves.
Yeah,
he's wrestling in like every continent except the frozen one.
I've been on record, dude. Jericho is definitely like in my personal Mount Rushmore of all time.
Wow.
I hold a
Yeah.
But this is the thing. I'm critical towards what he does now because we obviously review shows and stuff like that. But when he debuted and he cut the promo on The Rock, that holds a special moment in my heart as a child. Like that, I was so enamored. I was so like
I
amazed.
loved him and Rufus doing the Goldberg stuff. Are you kidding me?
That thing was hilarious
cut off
too.
T-shirt. It's unbelievable. He's remarkably talented.
Even some of the stuff with the KO feud.
Yes. Yeah, you just made the list. It was incredible. I will say this, right? I think
clicking a pen over.
I think there is. I don't think you can argue against him being the greatest of all time when it comes to reinventing yourself in this business. I don't think anybody's done that as well as he has, as many times as he's done it, in as many places as he's done it. That's what I think is crazy impressive for him. So that's why him being on a Mount Rushmore, I could see. We got quite a few comments I want to get into. One which I'm not going to get into is from Rafael Lima, who's very not happy about this topic. We cannot show those comments if we are explicit.
In series.
Newborn Superfly says random debate, but who would win in a match? I mean, Prime Cena would beat anybody in a match when he was just going over everyone. Super Cena.
Super Cena,
yeah. I Make Beat says can't deny Cena has a ton more star power. He's a household name. Undoubtedly, when it comes to drawing power, Cena wins. There's zero argument here to Easter Sunday's point. And Easter Sunday is also saying Jericho is a better ring technician than Cena, but at the end of the day, it's all about what gets people to watch. That is also true. I mean, to be fair,
it's a fair point, but it's also Cena was, man, I don't want to say it. He was super backed by the machine that is the WWE.
Well,
they put all their
absolutely.
They put all their poker chips on them.
Here's what I like about Cena is like honestly, obviously the Doctor of Thugonomics character needed to probably stop when it did. Like not even probably, it really needed to stop. But he like wore the same clothes, and then they're like, now he's a military guy, and now he's the Make-A-Wish guy, and it just got watered down and kiddier by the minute.
But look, a lot of those kids, though, and this is an interesting point for Instagram comments.
No, that's the coolest part.
A lot of those kids are now like my age. So they're the ones who are watching WWE. WWE's core audience at this point. Those are the people in these Instagram comments who are saying, Cena, what you want about Jericho for? When in reality, I think it's a lot closer than they realize. But that is one thing where I think people gave a lot of criticism to WWE at the time, but I think it actually did pay off in hindsight, even if there was definitely a better way to do it. Rosario says Cena is the GOAT. When it comes to star power, but in-ring skills, Y2J wins. Josh says there is an argument to Jericho being the greatest of all time. He has excelled in cruiserweight, heavyweight, and everything in between. Reinvented himself a million times. As well with that one. I mean, the last point, I think
he meant Allegiant free. Like, I think he meant like he went to different companies. Allegiance, I think that was actually.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, did he not check
no,
a couple of years ago? But
no, I actually do think it was a typo because I've had that happen to me with the same exact word combo recently over text.
But let's move on to the next topic, shall we? Let's move on to talk a little bit about Mercedes Moné, because she did an Instagram live a couple of days ago, and she said, I just saw someone say, my downgrade has to be studied. Word I cannot say, I am richer than I have ever, word I cannot say, been. Putting on the greatest matches that I have ever had. Shut the word I cannot say up. I hate stupid people. I hate stupid people. I hate stupid people. I'm living my best life, the greatest life ever. It's an upgrade, baby. I went forward and didn't go back. It's the best feeling ever to be rich in spirit and rich in your bank account and just rich in life. It is the best. In case you guys didn't get the hint, I think she feels very rich right now. But basically, the question here is, has she downgraded since going to AEW? Shard, I know you have some thoughts on this one.
I love Mercedes Moné. I love when she claps back at trolls. I was so hyped when she was going. I saw the clip of her going live saying that to the fans who are going against her, whatnot. And kudos to Mercedes. Flex all you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are well deserved to flex your bank account because you're able to do that. And you can flex your happiness because you're able to do that. Question, right? Is this a downgrade to the WWE for what she did previously? No, absolutely not. You look at the situation that is the WWE. Who is to say that Sasha Banks would be holding a title like she's holding the title? Who is to say that she would be the main draw on the roster on the WWE? She would have been in the rotation. She would have probably been in storyline. She would have been doing a lot of what she was doing before she left. And that was within tag teams, wrestling the same few people. Maybe you get a title chance, maybe you don't type of situation. WWE is a machine, like I always say, and they are going to keep building superstars as it goes. They have Bianca Belair now. They have Rhea Ripley now. There's going to be some new women in the pipeline that are going to get there, right? They got the card of Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair when they're back. Mercedes Moné bet on herself. She bet on herself financially, where she's able to make the most money that she is trying to make in this world, and she's made that. But let's not get it twisted. What she is doing creatively in AEW, also within New Japan and Stardom, has been remarkable. I think you said it the other day on the Allison analysis. There is an argument to be made about her being Women's Wrestler of the Year just off of what she's done in-ring wise. Women's Wrestler of the Year. Like, that's in a year where women's wrestling has been a focal point and has been a hot commodity with all the stars. She has a fighter's chance to be getting that title. She's had so many classic matches. She's had so many big-time showings on pay-per-views in AEW. She's been a big reason where AEW is going to have to, make her a focal point and create the women's division. She's doing what she loves at the end of the day, and that is not a downgrade. That is only an upgrade if she says it is an upgrade. Like, she's not dead in the water and none of that. People have a horrible problem because they are so upset and mad that their favorite wrestler isn't staying and doing what they're comfortable to do when you don't have an allegiance to that company. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors or how that woman feels. So be happy for her. If she's happy, if she's telling you that she's genuinely happy in the company and she's making the money, then she's doing that. Y'all got to stop picking on her and bugging her with all that BS, man. The woman is cooking, and I'm loving everything she's doing. Also, spoiler, watch Sunday Spotlight, because I'm definitely spotlighting Mercedes Moné again for the week that she's had. That's my CEO.
Wow. I'm going to be honest. I don't disagree with much of what you said there. If anything, to be honest with you, the only thing that I think that she's had a downgrade with as of late is her character work. That is the one thing which, if I am being honest, I think since she's left WWE, her character work has gone downhill. But she has been having better matches, longer matches, and like I said in Allison analysis, she's had 14 matches this year. Only 2, in my personal opinion, have under-delivered. Yes, obviously, there was the high-profile woman, Britt Baker, which everyone loves to bring up now. But equally, you can bring up the 2 match of the year contenders she's had. And when I said that, I wasn't even including the Chris Statlander match, which a few people are saying could be in that argument as well, including Matt Williams. But I was talking about Hazuki and Willow. But if you want to include Chris Statlander, that's 3 match of the year contenders.
Her and Stephanie Vaquer was a great match too.
I don't know if that's match of the year.
Not match of the year.
I
not
don't
match
know.
Of the year, but it was I liked it a lot. But no, I agree with you. I think Hazuki and I think those 3 matches are definitely in the top 5 to 10 women's matches of the year list without a doubt. Like the only match I can, we'll do that next week. Now, I won't get into that, but I agree with you on that statement.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The comments are agreeing with you as well, Shad. But Rosario says the CEO doesn't fit her. I think it does. I just think the promos have been. The thing is, I don't know. This is ruthless speculation. I don't know if people are writing her promos or if she's writing them. Whoever is writing them, I don't think, whether it's her or somebody else, I don't think they fit her execution. And that's one of the reasons why it's not really working.
The thing is this. I think Tony needs to do something, and I think he needs to see how New Japan and like positions her and how they present her. I would take a little bit of that. She seems more organic and natural when she's presented out in Japan. Like on the AEW, it seems like a lot of the promos, and maybe like you said, time is also a big thing. Not everything needs to be just a concise promo in the middle of the stage. Like stuff like that, you definitely gotta find ways to make it a little bit better, and also matters who you're going against.
I want to see like a little bit more like intensity, like bitterness. I'd love to see her really actually like mad at somebody, like really mad.
But not just 0 to a million. She's done that a few times, and it's not
the cockiness and the narcissistic side or whatever, right? Like the self-obsessed. I'm the CEO.
All of that. Like she did on that live stream.
But I want like I want one of those like I want like the put downs, like bully somebody. Yeah. For lack of a better way to put it.
Well, they did that with Camille, and that's
but I want it to be more effective, more intense, more personal, more personal.
I think she needs to act a little bit more like her, because I think, especially what you said about the live, I think she's got a lot of that gimmick actually in her. But when she does the promos on there, sometimes they come across like it's a little too scripted almost. I think just letting her be herself a little bit more, I think you can get the exact same results, but it'll come across a little bit better. But now let's move on to the next topic, because talking about coming off a little bit better, AEW have done what I have said for years and years and years to do now, and that is start running smaller venues.
Years and years.
Maybe that's an exaggeration. I've said it for like 18 months, but
18 years.
But here's the thing with it, right? I always say perception massively matters. And when you are selling out a 3,000 seat arena, when it is full, when fans such as Shad are in the building taking photos, everybody's having a blast, you think to yourself, that looks like an awful lot of fun. I want to attend one of these things. When you see 3,000 fans in a 20,000 seat arena like they do in most weeks, you see photos and you're thinking to yourself, looks a bit boring. If nobody's there, must be something wrong with it. When in reality, 3,000 for a weekly show is still a very, very good number. But packing out these buildings, I think, is a great move. They should have done it sooner, and they should have. Some people are saying they didn't have the equipment. I'm sorry, but with the money AEW have spent, I don't buy that argument. I think they should have still done it earlier. But listen, they've done it now. That is the main thing, and I am very happy about it. But Clark, are you?
So, little known fact, everybody, Ben's first words were actually smaller venues for AEW. He babbled them out in his crib. That's how long ago he said it. Listen, it depends on what the rent is, what the cost is up front, what you're making on gate, what you're charging for tickets, how many people are in the building, how it affects production. There's so many factors at play here. I understand, yes, a full building looks better aesthetically on television than one that's empty, but there's more factors at play than just simply like, well, why don't we just go there? And not every town, not every market has multiple venues. especially across the United States. You're going to see certain markets that you could head to, and it's a heck of a lot easier and less expensive to produce from a larger arena. I think it's a positive from an aesthetic standpoint. I don't think it's world changing or needle moving or that big of a deal, to be honest, because if you watch Major League Baseball, I'm a diehard Major League Baseball fan. They play 162 regular season games. And I'll tell you what, if you turn on the Tampa Bay Rays against the Kansas City Royals on Wednesday in August, it's going to look like a heck of a lot than 3,000 in a 50,000 seat stadium. And they're still doing just fine over there when it comes to the MLB and their network.
They're not though, aren't they?
No, they're doing just fine.
I thought the big report which just came out is they are really not doing okay.
Well, that's what everyone likes to say. Major League Baseball is doing just fine. The World Series just had some of its best ratings it's had in years with the Yankees and Dodgers this year. And the deal is huge. So they're fine. People like to do they need to speed up the game thing with baseball, not to turn it into a baseball conversation. But the net of it is same thing happens in the NBA. If you go to, whatever, I almost just said Thunder, but they're actually first in the West right now. But if you went to a Thunder game when they were in the cellar, right? Hey, it's pretty empty over there. But San Antonio, same way when they were in
Wizards.
The Wizards. Thank you, Shad. I'm grasping there for teams, but it's true. You don't see it much in like the NFL and things like that, but it does happen more often than not. Yes, I hear where you're coming from. I don't think it's like a giant long-term solution or a giant needle mover or market gainer for AEW in any way. It's just an aesthetic bonus on television week to week that they've tried to book smaller venues.
I've got a call, and I'm going to make the call right now. I predict if they continue this strategy, and not every single week run a smaller venue, but, every few weeks, still something to the big ones too, obviously, and of course, the bigger ones for pay-per-views as well. But if they do, 3 out of 4 weeks start running a bit smaller venues, right, which is what they currently are scheduling, I've got a big prediction, and that big prediction is I think they are going to sell more tickets in 2025 than they did in 2024, and I think for the first time in the company's history, first time since 2021, their ticket sales are going to be on the rise. I think we are going to finally see
in relation to capacity or total sales.
Total tickets sold.
It's possible.
I will say this, being that I was at the DC show and the venue that they hosted it, the Sportsplex, where the best team in Washington DC plays, the Mystics. It was one of the most electric atmospheres and I've gone to every AEW show that they've come around town. I went to the one even in Virginia, which was at my old university's arena, which is bigger than the Sportsplex, but smaller than the Verizon Center. That one, it just felt intimate. It felt so loud. Everybody was just up in arms, enjoying the show. They got to keep doing it like that. It makes it, and it made it look so great on TV too. When I rewatched it the next day, like everybody on Twitter and was like, "Yo, that DC crowd was crazy. This show was so fun."
And the theater lighting was such a good touch. They did a really good job.
Yeah,
they
did. They did.
The ring.
How'd y'all feel about the rampway being so close to the ring, though?
I didn't notice it much on TV actually until I saw the images.
I was
later.
actually
live. I didn't even see it.
I haven't even actually gotten to chat with you since. Is it a horseshoe venue?
Yeah.
That's why. That makes sense. Because I was gonna literally ask you that question, but
it's a horseshoe venue. Everything is like, it's kind of like an amphitheater in a sense where it's dead in the middle and everything circles around it. So
yeah. I think they're running a few more of those in the upcoming weeks as well. We got a comment from Rosario here saying, "Don't forget to like and subscribe." Thank you so much. Oh, and thank you for the support and watching. We really do appreciate it. Shout out to you. Numero One Superfly says AEW should run smaller venues specifically for Collision. Absolutely. We saw when they, were running that gaming place last summer. It was a massive success for them, both financially, but also on TV a lot better as well.
Beats literally had that.
Yeah, I was about to go to the next comment. Hang on a second. It's just said what I just said. But now, guys, let's move on, and let's move on to talk about the weekend preview, because we have just a little bit of an absolutely stacked weekend of professional wrestling. Tonight on SmackDown, we have got Johnny Gargano versus Alex Shelley, as well as Bianca Belair and the new one half of the tag team champions, Naomi, taking on Candice LeRae and Nia Jax for, of course, the women's tag team championships. That's going to be interesting. It's the first time Bianca Belair and Naomi have tagged together as tag team champions. So will it be a success, or will Candice LeRae and Nia Jax get the win? We will have to wait and see. But that's not all, because tonight we also have Ring of Honor Final Battle. We have got Shibata versus the Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington, Atlantis Jr. versus Mansoor, QT Marshall versus Jay Lethal, an open challenge for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. We have a Ring of Honor TV Championship Survival of the Fittest match between Brian Cage, AR Fox, Willie Mack, Commander, Blake Christian, and Mark Davis. And the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships are on the line in a Texas Bull Rope match as Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes defend against the Righteous. The Women's TV Championship is also going to be on the line as Red Velvet defends against Layla Hirsch. And for the World Championship, the Ring of Honor World Championship, we have Chris Jericho defending against Matt Cardona. And in the main event, we have the Ring of Honor World Women's Champion, who's held the belt for just over 2 years now, Athena, defending against her former student, Billy Starks. That is stacked. And oh, just in case that wasn't enough for you, well, Collision this week is also stacked, because we have Will Ospreay versus Ricochet, Daniel Garcia versus Shelton Benjamin, Darby Allin versus Claudio Castagnoli, and Mark Briscoe versus the Beast Mortis. And MJF and Adam Cole will meet face to face. What a weekend of professional wrestling we have on our hands. Clark, I'm sending this one straight to you first. What are you looking forward to this weekend?
You know, I know Shaw's looking forward to ROH, and so am I, but it's really cool how they're taking over New York. But I'll address SmackDown first. Let's talk about that tag title match out of the gates. I mean, come on, Naomi as the fill-in. I've got an inkling. Maybe she's the one. It's been a big whodunit. Ooh, might have been Naomi. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. I've kind of changed my mind. I thought it was like 7 different people. Now I kind of think it's Naomi. Just neither here nor there. Not totally sure how the match goes, other than that I do think that, I guess, newly minted champions, the newly reformed, the champions with the substitute win. That's who wins. Champions with the substitute. They're going to get the dub. And then, of course, Alex Shelley and Johnny Wrestling. How about it? Put on a good one. Please give them the time. I hope that's off the charts. We got all kinds of other good stuff going on there, though, too. And I'm excited for it. But I want to hear what Shad has to say about this ROH and Collision stuff, because I'm all over it.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had interim champions before, but I don't think we've ever had interim half tag team champions before. It's very, very unique, and it's very, very strange. But hey,
they might stylistically be a better tag team though, because Naomi's got the
chemistry wise.
It's not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might look a little bit better.
I think it was Naomi though. That was my big line.
I agree with you, Clark. I do agree with you. But Shad, I know you're dying to talk about it. Let's talk Ring of Honor.
Let's talk Ring of Honor, man. I know that this pay-per-view has been criticized a lot. ROH to a lot of people is a far from what it used to be brand, but you're fooling yourself if you can't look at the card that Ben just read off and not be excited for it. Because like you said, dude, it is stacked. And for me, few matches. And I'm just going to talk about the ones that are at the top of the card, in my opinion. Lee Moriarty, open challenge for the pure title. Who is it going to be? We had the graphic where people put comments in. I'm hoping it's Nigel McGuinness, him returning, having a match with the young Lee Moriarty, having a technical, pure classic would be amazing. or it could be a new free agent. Who knows? I liked your idea about Mustafa Ali, by the way, Ben. I thought that was creative. I also am on a, oh man, people are gonna think I'm a Chris Jericho mark. I like this King of New York stuff, bro. I think it's genuinely funny. I like the whole stuff at GCW with him coming out, them kind of blurring the lines of whatever issues may happen with GCW and FE and AEW and Matt Cardona being in it. I think that's going to be an entertaining match, but we got to talk about the real main event, the story that's been going on for a couple years. The minion, the little minion, Billy Starks going against the best champ maybe in AEW? If we ain't lying, 2 years, right? Athena, the fallen goddess versus Billy Starks. Athena has been going crazy these last 2 years. She's been someone who's still like overlooked for some odd reason. She's going against Billy Starks, and I love an underdog story. Athena, you've been doing this young girl a little too wrong, man. You ain't respect her. You've created a monster, and I think we will get a new champion tonight at the Hammerstein Ballroom. ROH, give it up for the ladies. Billy Starks will win. I'm excited. I'm going to be watching ROH tonight just because the card is stacked. I will not be watching SmackDown. And then one last thing. Collision. I am feeling like a sicko right now. Shelton Benjamin versus Daniel Garcia.
Ooh.
Come on, bro. Stop me the F up for that. That is going to be absolutely incredible, man. So I'm excited. Collision is so stacked. I love the Continental Classic has been going crazy this year, man.
Absolutely. It really has been. And if you weren't hyped before, after that speech, I am even more hyped for this weekend of professional wrestling now. I mean, Ring of Honor tonight is going to be fun. And I do agree with you, Shad. I do think Billy Starks is going to step up and take that women's championship. Athena just hit 2 years, but records, they're made to be broken. And I think we're going to see that reign end tonight. It's going to be a fun one. Numero One Superfly is saying the person who should answer the Ring of Honor Pure Championship Open Challenge is either Nigel McGuinness, Mike Bailey, Huck. I mean, that would be random, but I wouldn't mind it.
Everyone knows me and the Hookamaniacs will be running wild if it is the Hookster.
That is true. Or, and this, to be fair, is a shout which not many people are thinking, a returning Samoa Joe. I mean, I think you could well throw his name in the mix. That would be very, very interesting.
Don't kill my man Lee.
Always gonna kill.
Oh no, you can't. I called that man the next big thing before anybody else did. Mortos versus Shelton was match of the night for me on Dynamite. The Beast is fantastic.
Bro, my wife is a Beast Mortos fan. She was like, the fact that this big dude is wrestling in that mask the entire match is absolutely remarkable.
It's crazy. No, that is the most impressive thing about him. I'm going to be honest. I thought that match, I didn't think their stars clicked necessarily, or not even they clicked. I think it was just Mortos perhaps wasn't used to that style, and because of that, there was a few awkward moments. But Mortos wrestling in that mask is just, I can't get my head around it.
Even
to do what
the
he does in that mask.
One that Carter bought, like I've seen in person, right? And I can't fathom it. Like it's not even. It's like you're trapped in. How can he see?
I'll tell you this: they have something with that guy. Like I know they're not pushing him at the moment, but I think they need to value pushing him at some point because the guy is really talented and he looks completely different than anybody else, which is a great thing.
Even his body though as well, right? Like, sure, the mask is so different too, but his body is even like completely different to anybody else, and the stuff that he does. I mean, I guess the most similar you could compare it to is, I guess, perhaps a Brody King, but even then, it's different. Like he's such a unique guy.
He's built like a fire hydrant. It's like Tomohiro Ishii moved like a cruiserweight.
You think he looks like, but that's
what it's like.
he's not like fat. Like he's a
No,
yoke.
no, he's just built
Yeah,
like
he's
a
just built really
like a
big. Yeah.
rectangle, a brick S house, as my grandmother would say in Monster Shadow.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I don't know, but they've got something with him. He's very, very unique. Shout out to him, no doubt about it. That is going to be very interesting. Brother Fluff Salisbury saying, I want Jericho to show up in GCW and call it the Learning Tree CW. Oh, that's something that he would
Taking
do,
the Staten
isn't it?
Island ferry over there.
But
So
that does
good.
bring us, guys, to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for commenting along. We really do appreciate it. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, that would be massively appreciated as well. Thank you to Shad. Thank you to Clark. And we will be back same time, same place tomorrow. Now, tomorrow, all three of us are off. So Anthony is going to be returning to the hosting chair, and Anthony is going to be hosting the show. So make sure you guys tune into that. I will be back on Sunday, and then on Tuesday, Christmas Eve, we have a little bit of a Christmas special for you guys. We will see you guys tomorrow. Ba, ba, ba.